Alright, the first thing you want to do is, if you get any kind of warning indication, any of the beeps or tones, you want to look that up and see what the problem is. Usually the Roomba will tell you if there's a problem with the brushes, or if there's a problem with any of the cliff sensors, and you want to take that apart first and see what the problem is. Other than that, the first thing you want to do is detach the tray. You want to look in there. Obviously it's full of dirt and debris. You want to clean that out and make sure everything is clean. I've gone ahead and emptied that bin, and you'll notice that there is a filter at the bottom. Many people don't even know that filter is there. Simply release the catch, open it up, and there is a filter inside. The filter needs to be cleaned. It can be washed. You could even use a mild detergent if you like. But it's very important. All the air that passes through the Roomba needs to go through this filter. So anything that's clogged in the filter will prevent the vacuum from working. So I'll go ahead and clean that out now as well. Okay, I've cleaned the whole filter area out. And I didn't spend a lot of time on it. Minute and a half. Make sure it's clean. Obviously it's going to get dirty again, but you do need to make sure there's no loose particles in there. If you have pets, pet dander tends to accumulate in dust. And that's what it's meant to do, but you need to clean that out of there. The other things you need to pay attention to is along here. There's a little rubber seal that goes along, and that catches a lot of the debris that would travel up and over the bin. You need to make sure that's free of any kind of loose particles. Same thing with the brush here. This collects everything off of the rollers that are underneath the Roomba, and you want to make sure that they're clean. The second thing that I should point out is on the top of the bin there's these two terminals. If you were to wash this off and get this wet, which you see that I have, you want to make sure this is all clean and dry before you reassemble it. Anything that's wet in these contacts, they'll rust. There's a possibility you could short something out. You definitely don't want to have this wet. So it's good to let it dry. It's also good to make sure that the bin is dry inside before you would introduce any kind of dirt into this. Alright, now let's turn the Roomba over and we'll see what else we can do. Okay, I've turned the Roomba over. I did do this on a nice towel. You don't want to have the face of the Roomba scratched. This Roomba was intentionally not clean for 2 or 3 days, although the manual does say to clean it each day, just to illustrate what can happen and the things that we're trying to avoid. The first thing you'll notice that out of these two catches, the right side, as shown on the screen, isn't connected. If we were to unlatch this connector and look, the bearing assemblies that these rollers ride on are out of the groove. They're not even in the mounting locations. So it couldn't have been working all that well. We do see lots of hair and debris along these rollers. And that all needs to be cleaned. The second thing you'll notice is this brush. It's got hair around it and stuff. That needs to be cleaned. The third item is this wheel in the front. You'll notice that it's black and white on each half. This wheel actually lets the Roomba know how far it's traveled in each direction. There's an optical sensor above this wheel. This can be removed pretty easily. You can see there's dirt and debris. You need to have that cleaned, as well as the mounting surface inside. This does come out relatively easily. You should apply maybe some very light oil to this, just to make sure it spins easily. And that needs to be cleaned out as well. So let's take the rollers out and see what we can clean here. The rollers come out very easily. There's nothing holding them in. They simply come out this way and slide out. And again with the second roller. Now what we'll do is we'll start by cleaning all this area out. You may notice this is a sensor. There's a light that comes on if the Roomba detects that there's dirt in one area. That's detected by this sensor. So you want to make sure this is clean, otherwise it won't detect any and it may miss dirt that's on the floor. Second thing you'll notice is there's these two drive wheels. This one's full of debris, but you need to make sure these are clean and operating free. On this side there aren't any, but you don't want to have any kind of dirt in these channels, these half round circles. These are where the rollers lay in. And the only other thing here is you want to make sure that this whole tray slides up and down very easily. If there's anything caught in any of these areas in here, the tray won't travel up and down. The reason for this is if you were to travel from, say, base tile floor to a wood floor. It needs to adjust the roller height, and that's what this would be for. Alright, I'll go ahead and clean this out and we'll take a look. Okay, that looks better. We've cleaned all the areas. I've spent about 6 minutes off camera cleaning everything. It does look good. I don't see anything that's broken or needs to be replaced. Before I mentioned that the terminals in the dustbin, those terminals actually connect here, and that's a sensor to let Roomba know that if the dustbin actually becomes dislodged, to not try to collect any more debris. Alright, now we will look at this brush assembly here. You'll see it's very, very dirty. Can't possibly have worked very well. This particular Roomba has had another motor installed for this brush. It's about 3 years old. But the easiest thing to do to clean this is to remove this very small Phillips head screw right in the center. This whole thing pops out. Then you can clean it and reinstall it. Make sure there isn't anything underneath here. I'll take it out now and show you what there is involved here. Okay, I removed the minute Phillips head screw that was located in the center of the brush assembly, and now you should be able to pull gently straight up and remove this straight out of there. Take care not to lose the screws. If any of them should fall down inside the Roomba in any of these tracks, it's going to cause problems later, and some of the screws are difficult to find, so take care that you don't lose them. And I'll go ahead and remove this now. Okay, that was easy. I pried this straight up very gently. You can see there's not a whole lot to it. These are readily available. There are brush kits, as well as most of the other parts on the Roomba. You shouldn't have to do all of this maintenance very often. The more often you take care of each individual component, the longer it's going to last. One thing of interest before I reassemble this is under here. This is actually debris that was collected. You want to remove this. While you have all this disconnected, you want to make sure there isn't any problems with this small shaft that's on here. It is in a hex shape that locates the brush assembly to this motor. You want to make sure that it's not stripped out, it's rounded or anything like that. Without that, the brush won't spin. It won't be able to collect dirt from the edges of the rooms. So I'll go ahead and put this back together. Take care when you're final tightening this screw, the retaining screw. You don't want to be very tight with it at all. It is all plastic. If you over tighten that, it's going to break the end off the motor, and you're going to need to buy some more parts. Okay, the next thing is we're going to clean this. It's very simple. There's not a lot in there. You do want to clean it. There is an optical sensor down inside. You don't want to scratch that or use any kind of harsh chemicals on that. So clean this. We can reinstall the wheel, and then we'll look at the brushes. Alright, I've moved the Roomba assembly off to the side, and I have the brushes here. You can see they're very dirty. There's debris in each of the areas in between the brushes. One thing of interest before I clean these, you want to remove these end caps. Inside there's a small brass bushing. That bushing collects debris in there, and it gets very hot. It can actually melt this end cap. So you want to remove those, clean very well around the shaft that's in there, and pull these caps off either side. I'm going to clean both of these. They're both the same design with the same end cap. You can see how much debris collects in there. And then we're going to reassemble it. Okay, I've taken about 10 minutes, and I've cleaned both rollers. I've cleaned the ends of the rollers where the bushing rides on either side. And now it's time to put these together, and we can reinstall it back in the Roomba. You need to pay careful attention. These yellow discs need to go on this way on either side. It looks like it'll fit the other way, but you're going to have problems loading the rollers back into the assembly. So I'll go ahead and do that now. Do pay attention when you install the caps on the end. They can only go one way. You could try to install them the other way, but they're definitely not going to work. Alright, I'll do that now. Okay, we're going to put the rollers back in. You'll note that there's definitely only one position that each one of the rollers can fit in. The larger drive gear would drive the larger roller, and it has a square drive on the end. You need to install this square drive in there. You need to make sure that it's all the way in. It needs to be oriented that way to allow room in the other side. Install the cleaning cap. Now, fits down in there nice. Presumably these caps are to keep any of the debris that would enter into here from coming over the edge and down and along here. So we'll do the same thing with this roller. Make sure that's square drives in. Now you'll know that everything's lined up right when both end plates lay down in the groove. You don't want any of these sticking up. Now when you close the drawer, it should latch very nicely on both sides. Okay. Now all that's left to do is flip it over and put the dustbin in. Pay particular attention when you are cleaning. These are the clip sensors. They're on both sides. There's two in the front. Don't clean them with anything that's harsh. There's an optical sensor behind there that needs to detect when the Roomba runs over the edge. Roombas aren't free last time I checked, so you wouldn't want them falling down the steps. And there it is. Remember to keep the base nice and clean. Keep your Roomba cleaned each day. Just clean the rollers out in the dustbin. And once a month, depending if you have pets and whatnot, should keep the Roomba running for a long period of time. This is on year number 3, and this Roomba is still working very well. Thank you for tuning in to WebWise. We'll see you next time.